Hello, hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my card making space. More Halloween cards. And funny side note, I'm filming this intro right before I slap it onto the video, upload it to you guys. Because sometimes, film things ahead of time, and then when I get to edit them, and then do the voiceovers, all things. So anyway, this is being filmed right before the video goes up. So I've seen a lot of the comments on my most recent video right before this, the clean and simple Halloween card. And I got a kick out of it. Like some of your guys' comments just made me laugh. Like, what have you done to Amy and where is she? Like, is this a cry for help? Sort of a thing. I heard I don't do clean and simple very often. And I told you all in that video though that I would make up for it in future videos, which this is going to be one of them. I'm using a couple of the same products I used in the last video and then added in some oldie but goodie favorites, other stuff I've used in other videos. We're going to do the Blackout embossing folder technique again. I've done this many, many times now. It is fun. I don't know what it is about it. I really enjoy doing it. And I did with this exact embossing folder, I did this technique in a video or in a live stream. I think my last live stream. Yeah. So wanted to do it again just in a video because I know not everyone watches my live streams. It's totally okay. It's all good. So sometimes it's nice to have it in a more condensed time frame. So yeah, we're going to do that. Add some splatter, do some ink blending, glitter cardstock. I told you I was going to make up for my brief break of sanity into clean and simple card making. Anyway, at the end of the video, I will have a link to my Halloween 2024 playlist. Still hoping to get many more Halloween cards and videos up by Halloween. I don't know. It feels like the final push sort of thing, like before the holiday gets here. And I will have links to everything I used in the description box below the video. My links are affiliate links. That just means that if you use one of my links and end up placing an order, I get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. It is just what helps pay the bills, keeps the channel going, etc. And yeah, that's it for the housekeeping. Let's get into the card making. So I'm using the Glowing Jack-o'-lanterns embossing folder. This is one of Simon Says Stamp's 3D embossing folders. I've used this in, I think, several videos now for my Halloween series. I love it. It's really cute. So for my Anna Griffin EMPRESS die cut machine, and specifically Simon's 3D embossing folders, because it can vary depending on the brand. The folder itself changes, like the thickness. But for me, one cutting plate and the folder with cardstock is what works. And I didn't show it on camera this time, but I did lightly mist my cardstock with water. You don't always have to do this. The only time it really matters is if you find that when you run whatever cardstock you're using through an embossing folder and the cardstock is cracking and, it's just you're not getting a good impression, try lightly misting one side of your cardstock with a bit of water. It doesn't need much, just a light mist. And a lot of that will soften the paper fibers and give you, a better embossed impression. So because I work with pretty heavyweight cardstocks most of the time, I generally do mist my cardstock, but sometimes I'm like going rogue and decide to just throw it through and hope for the best. So to do the Blackout embossing folder technique, we're working on the back of the embossed pattern. So you can see all my little pumpkins are debossed, like they're pressed in, and that's what you need. So most embossing folders will work for this technique. It doesn't have to be this one. It just kind of depends. Depends on the pattern, depends on the look you're going for, that sort of a thing. But I've shown it with many different embossing folders, and I'm sure in the future I'll do it with many others because it's just fun. So I'm using 3 different shades of inks to add color to my little pumpkins. And I'll have them listed and linked. One was the Rainbow Splash, aptly named Pumpkin. And then I used Pawsitively saturated inks in Mandarin and Terracotta, just to mix it up a bit. Some different shades of orange. And then this time for the actual Blackout, I'm using VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And I honestly am not sure if I've ever used it for this technique yet, but because usually I just reach for like my Black Soot Distress Oxide. But any dark ink will work. The darker, the better. But it also will depend on the like whatever colors you've added. So, you know, you can always experiment. Thing to remember with the Nocturne ink is this ink takes a longer time to dry. So I didn't show it on camera, but I did end up using like my heat tool to speed it up because I, you know, applied a decent amount. The other thing is don't press with the ink pad. I hold it just flat and I just take my time. I sped it up in editing, but you hold it flat and you just kind of swipe it back and forth. And it just covers all of the flat areas and some of the raised areas as well, just depending again on the pattern. And then I just cleaned the Nocturne ink up with a bit of hand sanitizer because doing this technique, I tend to get ink all over myself, my work surface, all the things. Hand sanitizer for the win. So, did that to the background. And then I pulled out some Distress Spritz because just why not? And this is the Spice Marmalade Distress Spritz. And this little unit I'm showing, this is another thing I've shown in live streams. I do not think I've shown it in any of my edited videos, so I thought I would show it today. The one I link to is a different shape than mine, but it works the exact same. And as of, again, doing this voiceover, I think it's currently out of stock, but Simon Says Stamp will restock it ASAP. This is a paint shaking machine. You can use like nail polish, tattoo inks are a big one. That's why these, like mine is less specific, like tattoo ink. But like I said, they work the same. The thing to remember with these, make sure the lid is on whatever it is you're shaking. Like make sure it is secure. Especially with these like Distress Spritz. I use this for my oxides, my oxide sprays, my Distress mica stains. Anything you need to really shake up, this little machine's awesome. And it comes with these little kind of rubbery belts. And that's what holds the bottle in place. And then you press the button and it shakes it. And this is really nice too if you have, you know, hand issues, wrist issues, things like that. Or if you're like me and more often than not, you have like 10 bottles of something you're going to use on one project and they all need to be shaken up. Wonderful. Game changer. But especially with things like the Distress Spritz, the Distress mica stain sprays, and then oxide sprays, because they have like pigments in them that settle to the bottom. This little machine, game changer. And like I said, I've shown it in live streams. I just thought I would include it in a non-live stream setting because I know not everyone watches the live streams and that's fine. So great little tool. Highly recommend it. Just the big thing to remember. Just make sure the lid is on because you do not want to put your bottle on there and turn it on. And I can't even imagine. Cannot even imagine the mess. I'm like so paranoid about that because I am a clumsy person and it's only, so yeah. So I shook it up really well because especially with the Spritz, there is a lot of like mica in it. So you want it shaken up. And then I just put mine on a palette. You can spray the Spritz and it gives that splattery, splotchy effect, which love. This is a little more controlled. And because I wanted just that more splatter look. So I used my fan brush, splattered the background with the Distress Spritz, and then let that dry. And once I was done with that, I had done all my die cutting off screen because why not? I can't really make die cutting interesting in videos. Unless I want to start doing the whole, you know, Simon Hurley, like staring awkwardly at you guys in the camera, you know? Makes me laugh. You guys don't need that from me. No. So instead I just die cut off camera. Anyway, I used a variety, couple oldie but goodie favorites, as well as some of my like newer sort of faves or becoming faves. The first one being this Oh My GOURD wafer die. I've used this one so many times. I love it. I used it with Simon's Flaming Orange glitter cardstock, which I need to order more of this. I just discovered I have one intact sheet left of that glitter cardstock, and I need more because it's a gorgeous color. So I had adhered it with black cardstock and then offset another layer of black cardstock that I die cut just to give it a bit of a shadow. And then I'm using the Jolly Pumpkins, which I just used in my last video. And then I also used some little greenery bits from, this is another new set, is the Autumn Arrangement set that has a cute little pumpkin and little flowers. But I just used the greenery wafer dies and die cut some green cardstock. And then the pumpkins I die cut from just some orange cardstock. And then for the pumpkins, I'm using the same inks. I'm using the Mandarin ink, and then I'll add a bit of the terracotta ink. And I've stuck these die cuts just to one of my grip mats. So that'll just hold everything in place. And then I'm just slapping a bit of color on with the same little blending brushes to give these die cuts a bit more depth. And if you didn't watch my previous video, I used other brushes and like added a bit more detail to my little pumpkins, but either way works. I like that we have options. And then if you really want to do things, you could like use your markers to color in and add depth and dimension. But I think one of my favorite things is just ink blending on die cuts. I don't know why. I love doing it. So same with these little greenery pieces. I used artichoke positively saturated ink, and then I added a bit of mocha. So just some brown ink just to tone it down a bit. Like I didn't want like bright green. I'm going very traditional Halloween colors. And sometimes you gotta love it. You do. And then this oldie but goodie favorite, this die set, I lost count how many times I've used this die set. This is the Friendly Ghosts Wafer die set. So many times. He gets pulled out every Halloween season for however many years now. And I die cut them from white cardstock. And then I'm just lightly blending on seafoam positively saturated ink. It just gives them a little more kind of transparency, and that's what I'm going for, just so they're not just stark white. So after I did my ink blending, I then assemble my little pumpkins, because there's another die in that set that die cuts the portion that covers their little jack-o'-lantern, or the back of their jack-o'-lantern faces, and adds a stem. And for these, I just did black cardstock, because I'm going very orange and black for these cards. That was like my mindset when I was making these. And I mentioned this in the other video. And again, hindsight with all the things. Man, if I should have used the glow-in-the-dark embossing powder on the pumpkin faces. Should have done it. But like I said in the other video too, I can't go back and like rip apart everything. But I'll just include that. Press some clear embossing ink onto that cardstock. Add some glow-in-the-dark embossing powder, melt it, and then assemble the pumpkins. Would be super cute. Anywho, I trimmed down my embossed backgrounds. And then because I'd used white cardstock, I just took my black marker and went along that edge to cover that exposed white cardstock, especially with these, because I'm going to put these onto a black cardstock card base. So I didn't want that like white edge showing, because sometimes it's just not working for me, So this just makes everything look a little more finished. So I just ran that along the edge and we're good to go. And then I'm going to adhere the, oh my gourd sentiment. I don't know why. I just, silly phrases like this, I'm here for it. It just is. So I had purposely offset like I said, the final black layer on the bottom of this. It just helped the sentiment stand out a bit, because I've got, a busy background going on. The glitter cardstock is just fabulous. I had a hard time as usual, taking photos of these cards too, because my camera was like, glitter, why? Anyway. I then adhered my pumpkins. I adhered the larger one just with craft tacky glue. The smaller one I popped up with a thin foam square. And then I'm going to tuck in my little greenery bits. They just kind of give it that little extra something. And then I'm going to tuck in a couple of the smaller little ghosties to create this fun little kind of scene here. So tuck in all my little pieces. I'd done the other card off screen. That's why everything's coming together so fabulously, because I figured it all out without the cameras running. And then for the inside of my cards, I've got just another panel of white cardstock that I trimmed down to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And I'm using, yet again, the Handlettered Halloween stamp set. This is another one that it's only a matter, like, I wonder how often you can use a stamp before you like actually start wearing it out. But then again, you guys that have watched me consistently know, there's a couple stamp sets that I have used like so many times, it's insane, and still works great. Really. I wonder, can you actually like wear out a stamp? If anything, I will give some of these a good run, like this Handlettered Halloween so many times. So, and I'll keep using it. So anyway, I'd stamped the Happy Halloween sentiment on the inside with that Nocturne ink. And then I added my remaining little die cuts, clean and simple on the inside of the card. Everything else thrown at the card front. So, like I had mentioned, my card base is black cardstock. It's a top folding A2 note card, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then my final little bit of embellishment is and they're, shaky. I love these containers. Is the black Pawsitively Dazzling gems, which like on this camera don't show up very well, but in real life, because, you know, they pick up the light. So there's that little just extra bit of shiny. So I put a few of those onto both of these cards, and once I was happy with where I'd placed them, I just pick them up with my little embellishment wand and then adhere them into place with little dabs of craft tacky glue. And then once those are adhered, these cards are complete. So, like I mentioned in the intro, I'll have links to all the things. I did try with my flashlight to show the sparkle of the Distress Spritz, but like I said, my camera was just like, what am I supposed to focus on? You've got this like sparkly sentiment. There we go. I kind of got a bit of the sparkle. It's hard to show. It is, but it's there. It's pretty. So, anyway, I'll have links to all the things in the description box below. I'll link to the previous video. I'll link to the Halloween 2024 playlist. Those will be in the end screen at the end of the video if you want to check those out if you've missed them. And yeah, that's it from me for the moment. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me, for thumbs upping and commenting. It really genuinely helps. It just tells the robot overlords you guys like what you see, and I appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't. I'd love to have you and welcome you into the chaos. And I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!